Hello and welcome to Atomic Vinyl Reviews. Thanks for tuning back in, as it's been a very long time since my previous uploads. Speaking of which, you may have noticed that my audio quality is a little bit better since I've invested in new microphones for my home recording studio for playing, some music and stuff like that, and it comes in handy for making these videos. I do apologize that the picture quality will still be about the same, as I'm still using my old camera. Today we will be taking a look at the Godzilla 2017 Monster Planet Ichiban Kujiban Presto Lottery Prize figure. This figure stands approximately 20 centimeters tall and is made of a soft vinyl material, and just like the 2016 release Banpresto Shin Godzilla figure, this one too carries an impressive sculpt by the Japanese master sculptor Yuji Sakai. Known for his consistently outstanding work in the SH Monster Arts line, as well as select X Plus figures and dozens of resin and vinyl model kits. Because of Sakai's sculpt and how much I love the Shin Godzilla figure released the other year, I just had to pick this one up. And just like that figure, this figure has been released as the main prize in a lottery held in Japan to promote the release of the new film. So far, only screening in Japan, the anime Godzilla Monster Planet, or Planet of Monsters, is due to get an international release sometime early next year. However, if we're lucky, I'm hoping it might be screened in select cinemas. Not living in Japan, I had no idea how to enter the lottery to try and win this thing. However, I was lucky enough to pick this figure up on eBay as soon as it became available. Because if it's anything like the Shin Godzilla figure that came before it, the prices are due to skyrocket anytime. Until it gets a new re-release, that'll be much more affordable later down the line, but I couldn't wait that long. Luckily, this figure only cost me about the amount of a cheaper X Plus figure, which is fitting because these recent Banpresto vinyls have been equivalent to, if not surpassing, some of their X Plus counterparts. And though we don't yet have an X Plus 2017 Godzilla to compare this to, the Banpresto Shin Godzilla definitely surpassed its 25 centimeter X Plus counterpart, despite being smaller and overall a lot cheaper. Anyway, back to the figure itself. It came packaged in the same clear clamshell type suitcase packaging as the previous first release lottery prize Shin Godzilla. This time with the blue and white motif we've seen on other Monster Planet merchandise. When you open up the clamshell, which is taped at the top and the sides, the figure is wrapped up in a plastic bag. Taking him out, you find he's a pretty big figure, measuring about 21 centimeters or just under 8.5 inches tall, and 35 centimeters to about 14 inches from head to tail. Though technically a tiny bit smaller than the Shin Godzilla figure that came before it, this one has quite a bulky presence because of its design, and they stand nicely together. He also comes with a small black vinyl cylinder that functions as a tail stand to support Anime Goji's dynamic pose. The stand is molded to fit perfectly with the contours and textures on the Godzilla's tail, and being cast in the same soft vinyl as the figure itself, it tends to stick in place very well. Picking him up, you notice he has a very solid and weighty feel, which is great to see in a figure. As I've touched upon before, the sculpt of this figure is fantastic. Not as detailed or elegant as the Shin Godzilla sculpt we got last time, but rather utilizing bold, expressive lines to define Godzilla's features, combined with the dynamic pose, showing Godzilla in an almost mid-stride, tail raised, back arched, with his head turned facing his opponent to the left. Sakai brings the power of this Godzilla to life. Features like the feet, chest, and spines turned out particularly well on this figure, especially compared to the Bandai vinyls, which, while excellent figures, always left the legs kinda looking a little awkward, which is something you don't find with this figure, as the hips tend to be a little less pronounced. However, areas on his face, such as the creepy smile and nostrils, as well as the overall skin texture, could have been more strongly defined. which is something that I will go over in more depth when we talk about the paint for this figure. For now, I would like to briefly talk about the new design. This is our third official full CGI incarnation of Godzilla in recent years. Fourth if you count the Sunset on 3rd Street 2 cameo. Like most people, when I first saw this look for Godzilla, I really didn't know whether I liked it or not, especially since I never really connected with the 2014 design of Godzilla, which this one took heavy influence from. Now don't get me wrong, I really like the 2014 design as a monster design, but to this day, I've never felt like I'm seeing Godzilla when I'm looking at that design. This design, however, takes elements of 2014 and Shin, even Biollante, culminating in one of Godzilla's stranger designs. Having lived through Shin and 2014, I'm no longer so fazed by strange designs for Godzilla, especially in the context that this is for an anime with a very unique and creative premise. Strangely enough, in this incarnation, he is said to be of plant-based origin, standing over 300 meters tall, making him by far the largest incarnation of the character we've seen in films so far. From what we've seen in trailers, posters, and of the various figures that have been released, he is to be a greenish, sometimes slightly metallic color, as opposed to the traditional charcoal gray we usually see for Godzilla. He has small, bright blue eyes and a blue atomic breath attack. His build is even bulkier than that of the 2014 or Heisei Godzillas, and his rough skin texture is very similar to that of Shin Godzilla and Biollante. His spines are rather reminiscent of leaves, and he has comparatively thin-looking legs, and more humanoid or even xenomorph-like feet. His face holds features reminiscent to that of the 2014 design, while more elongated, it holds its own unique personality. Unfortunately, we don't get Godzilla's classic, more mammalian-type nose, the lack of which is one of the details that hindered me from connecting with the 2014 design. However, I think it works well enough here. Overall, I really like this design, but I will have to see it in action to be sure. At the very least, I think it definitely improves on the 2014 design for me, and works well for the animated medium in which it will be in. Getting back to the figure itself, what I'd argue is the figure's weakest aspect is the paint. While definitely possible and more than likely movie accurate, the overall paint job is somewhat flat and doesn't bring out the full potential of the excellent sculpt that's available here. The figure is primarily done in a flat dark green color with subtle aqua highlights over most of the figure. Metallic blue paint was then dry brushed roughly over areas of the spines, head, back and tail. Its tiny eyes are well done in a bright metallic blue color with well-scented black pupils. For what it is, I'd say the paint doesn't really bring this figure down, but compared to the Shin Godzilla figure we got the other year, and even the prototype images of this one, I was expecting more from Banpresto. Small tweaks, such as darker highlights in the recesses of this figure, a different green for the spines, or at the very least highlights on his claws, would have made a big difference. Unlike the Monster Arts figure, the inside of his mouth and tongue aren't even painted. Nevertheless, you get what you get. Anyway, time for everyone's favorite part of the review, the size comparison. In conclusion, this is a great figure. I'm very happy I picked it up, and it's only further hyped me up for the upcoming movie. Please, no spoilers for the movie unless it's past the international release, in which case you can go crazy. I must say, Yuji Sakai beautifully brought this design to life, and I really look forward to seeing what he'll bring to this line of figures next. So far, only the Monster Art seems to have a chance of surpassing it. I've had mine ready on pre-order for a while now, and hopefully it'll be released soon in the coming days. I'm really looking forward to that one. And if you are interested in picking up the Banpresto, again, I really do stress, pick it up either really soon or be prepared to pay a lot, as I'm pretty sure the prices will skyrocket, or be willing to wait at least a year until it gets a re-release. That's the end of the review. Thank you for tuning in. In the comments below, let me know what are your thoughts on the figure and the new design of Godzilla. Or, what figure would you like me to review next? I'm looking forward to reading and replying to all your comments, so see you there. Additionally, if you are interested in knowing more about the various buildings and displays seen in the review here, check out the, prepare for it, it's a long name, the Godzilla/Kaiju figures, custom/budget effects parts, and diorama displays group on Facebook. Link in the description below as usual. We are a great community of people who love kaiju and love sharing our resources, photos, and info on making movie monster dioramas and displays. Check it out. And if you liked any of the music on this channel, be sure to check out my band, Toxic Bird. We're currently in the process of recording our first album and would really love your support. Thank you for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you at my next review, whenever that'll be, if I can get around to it. Yeah. And as always, may all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Over and out.